His future was bright. His dreams were big. But one moment changed everything. This is the story of Daniel. Daniel was 24 years old. He loved to run. He loved to smile. He was strong, healthy, and full of life. Every morning, Daniel went for a long run. He believed that movement was freedom. He said, "When I run, I feel like I can fly." He lived with his mother, Linda. She always supported his dreams. "One day, you will do great things," she told him. Daniel worked as a delivery driver. It was not his dream job, but he was saving money. He wanted to start his own business one day. "Just a little more time," he told himself, "and I will make it happen." But life had other plans. One rainy evening, Daniel was driving home. The road was wet. The lights were low. He was listening to music and thinking about his future. Then it happened. A truck lost control. It came from the other side. It hit Daniel's car, head on. The sound was loud. Metal broke. Glass shattered. Then silence. Daniel could not feel his legs. He opened his eyes in the hospital. Everything was blurry. He saw his mother's face. Her eyes were red. She was crying. "What happened?" Daniel asked softly. The doctor walked in. He looked serious. "Daniel, you were in a bad accident," the doctor said. "Your legs were crushed. We did everything we could." But Daniel stopped breathing for a second. "We had to remove both legs to save your life." Silence. Time stopped. Daniel looked at his body. His legs were gone. "No, this cannot be real," he whispered. Tears ran down his face. He turned his head away. He closed his eyes. He wished he never woke up. The next few days were full of pain. Daniel did not want to eat. He did not want to speak. He stared at the wall for hours. His mother sat next to him. She held his hand and whispered, "I am here, Daniel. I will always be here." But Daniel stayed silent. He kept asking himself, "Why me? Why now?" He had so many dreams. He wanted to travel. He wanted to build a business. He wanted to live fully. But now he could not even stand. He thought, "My life is over. I am useless now." Friends came to visit, but he asked the nurse to send them away. He did not want them to see him like this, broken, weak, lost. Nights were the hardest. Daniel would cry in silence. He covered his face with the pillow. He did not want his mother to hear, but she always did. And she cried too, quietly, in the chair beside his bed. One evening, as the sun set, his mother said something that stayed in his heart. She looked at him and said, "Daniel, I know you are in pain, but I still see the fire in your eyes. You are still my son. You are still full of life. This is not the end." Daniel did not respond, but for the first time, he listened. Days turned into weeks. Daniel was still in the hospital. His legs were gone, but the pain was not just in his body. It was in his heart. Every time he woke up, he hoped it was a bad dream. But the truth never changed. His mother visited every day. She brought food. She brought books. She brought hope. But Daniel still felt empty. One day, the doctor came in and said, "Daniel, it is time to start therapy." Daniel shook his head. "I cannot. I am not ready," he whispered. The doctor sat beside him. "I know it is hard, but you are still alive. That means your story is not over." Daniel looked away. He did not believe that, but something inside him wanted to try. Just a little. Just once. The next morning, a young therapist entered the room. Her name was Rachel. She smiled brightly and said, "Hi, Daniel. I will help you walk again. Maybe not with your old legs, but with new ones." Daniel said nothing. She continued, I have seen people who gave up, and I have seen people who fought. I believe you are a fighter. Those words touched his heart. No one had said that to him since the accident. He looked at Rachel and said, Okay, let us try. The first day of therapy was hard. He had to sit up without support. It hurt. His back ached. His arms shook. But he did it. Good job, Daniel. Rachel cheered. His mother clapped with tears in her eyes. Daniel felt a small spark inside. The next week, they helped him into a wheelchair. It felt strange. It felt slow, but it was a start. Rachel taught him how to move, how to turn, how to be independent. Some days he cried. Some days he got angry. He shouted, I hate this. I want my old life back. But Rachel stayed calm. She said softly, I know, Daniel, it is okay to be angry, but never forget you are moving forward. Those words stayed with him. One day, Rachel showed him a pair of prosthetic legs. They looked shiny. They looked strange. Daniel felt nervous. I do not know if I can walk again, he said. Rachel replied, Let us try one step at a time. It was not easy. He fell. He lost balance. He wanted to quit, but he remembered his mother's voice. This is not the end. So he tried again and again. One day, he took 3 steps. The room went silent. Then Rachel clapped and shouted, Yes, you did it. Daniel smiled. A real smile. For the first time in months. That night, he looked at himself in the mirror. He saw a different man. Not weaker, but stronger. He said to himself, I lost my legs, but not my will. And for the first time, he believed it. Daniel left the hospital after 6 long months. He was not the same man who went in. He was stronger now, braver. But the world outside felt different. People stared at his legs. Some whispered. Some looked away. Daniel felt their eyes. And he felt small. But he remembered Rachel's words. You are more than your legs. He went home with his mother. She had made changes to the house. A ramp at the door. Handles in the bathroom. Soft rugs on the floor. She smiled and said, This is your home, son. You are safe here. Daniel hugged her. He whispered, Thank you, Mom, for everything. But inside, he felt lost. What would he do now? He could not return to his old job. He could not run. He could not play football like before. He sat alone most days, watching the world move on. One day, his mother walked in with a notebook. She said, Do you remember this? He opened it slowly. It was his old dream book. He had written in it when he was a teenager. On the first page, in big letters, it said, I want to help people someday. Daniel's hands shook. Tears filled his eyes. He had forgotten about that dream. That night, he could not sleep. He kept thinking about those words. Help people. But how? He was just a man with no legs. What could he do? Then a memory came to him. Rachel, her smile, her strength, her belief in him. She had helped him stand again. Maybe he could do the same for someone else. The next morning, he searched online. How to become a therapist. He found many websites, many courses. It would not be easy, but nothing was easy anymore. He looked at his reflection. He said, I can do this. His mother heard him and said, Yes, you can. I believe in you. Daniel joined a training program. He started online classes. He studied every day. Anatomy, rehab therapy, psychology. It was hard, but he worked hard. He sat in his wheelchair for hours. He read. He wrote notes. He asked questions. His teachers were surprised. One of them said, "Daniel, you have a gift. You understand pain. That is something no book can teach." Daniel smiled, because it was true. He knew how it felt to fall and to rise again. Months passed. Daniel passed his exams. He became a certified rehab assistant. He applied for a job at the hospital, the same hospital where he had cried, where he had shouted, where he had stood again. When the doctor saw him, he said, "Welcome back, Daniel. We are proud of you." Daniel replied, "I am proud of me too." On his first day, he walked into the therapy room. A young boy sat in a chair, both legs missing, his eyes full of fear. Daniel knelt beside him and said, "Hi, my name is Daniel. I lost my legs too, but I found something even bigger, hope." The boy looked at him, and for the first time, he smiled. Daniel now worked 5 days a week. Every day, he met people who were broken. Some had lost arms. Some had lost legs. Some had lost hope. But Daniel gave them something they could not find in medicine. He gave them belief. One morning, he sat beside a teenage girl named Lily. She had lost her right leg in a car accident. She looked away when Daniel entered. Tears rolled down her face. She whispered, "Why me? I hate my life." Daniel sat in silence for a moment. Then he said, "I once said the same words." Lily looked at him. She saw his wheelchair. She asked, "What happened to you?" Daniel told her everything about the accident, the hospital, the pain, the tears, and the day he chose to live again. Lily asked, "But how did you become strong?" Daniel smiled. He replied, "By falling and getting back up again and again." He placed a mirror in front of her. He said, "Look, you are still here. That means your story is not over." For the first time, Lily smiled. It was small, but it was real. Soon, Daniel became known in the hospital, not just as a therapist, but as a light, a guide, a voice. People would ask for him by name. Doctors would say, "If Daniel cannot give them hope, no one can." He spoke to families, to children, to the elderly. He never used big words, only simple, honest truth. One day, a local news reporter visited the hospital. She had heard about Daniel. She asked, "Can we do a story on you?" Daniel said, "I am not a hero. I just refuse to give up." The story aired that week. Title: "The Man Who Lost His Legs, but Walked into People's Hearts." People watched. People cried. His phone did not stop ringing. Strangers sent messages. "You inspired me. You saved my life. Because of you, I got out of bed today." Daniel sat in silence one evening, reading those messages. His mother came in. She placed her hand on his shoulder. She said, "You found your purpose, son." He nodded with tears in his eyes. A few weeks later, a school invited him to speak. It was a large hall. Hundreds of students sat, waiting. Daniel rolled onto the stage. He looked at them. They looked at him. And then he spoke. "Do not let pain define you. Let it shape you." He told them his story. The room was silent. Some wiped their tears. Some stood and clapped. One boy ran to him after and said, "You changed how I see life." Daniel now visited schools, hospitals, community centers. He gave talks. He shared hope, not because he had legs, but because he had a voice, and that voice healed. That night, Daniel looked at the stars. He whispered, "Thank you, life. You took my legs, but you gave me purpose." He closed his eyes and smiled because he knew he was finally where he was meant to be. Years passed, Daniel's life changed, but he never forgot the boy he used to be. The boy lying in the hospital bed, broken, hopeless, alone. He now helped others who felt the same. One day he was invited to speak at a global event. It was called Voices of Courage. People from all over the world came. Some were leaders, some were survivors. All had faced deep pain. Daniel was nervous, but he remembered his journey. He whispered, "I am ready." When he came on stage, the crowd stood. They clapped. Some even shouted, "That's him. That's Daniel." He sat in his wheelchair, took a deep breath, and began. "I lost my legs, but I gained something bigger. I found my voice, my purpose, my heart." The hall was silent. Every word touched the soul. He spoke about pain, about fear, about choosing to fight. He said, "Pain is real, but so is hope." He told them stories of the people he helped. He talked about Lily, about the man who wanted to end his life, but changed his mind after hearing Daniel speak. And then he said something that made everyone cry. "If I had to lose my legs again to become who I am now, I would say yes." After the event, people rushed to him. They hugged him. They cried. They said, "You saved my son. You helped my daughter. You gave me strength." Daniel smiled, but deep inside, he felt something even greater: peace. Months later, Daniel started a foundation. He called it the Walk Within. It helped people with disabilities. It gave free therapy, free training, free love. Children who had no hope now laughed again. Parents who felt lost found support. One boy named Tommy came to the center. He had lost both legs in a fire. He was only 9. He refused to talk to anyone. He screamed every night. But Daniel sat beside him every day. He told stories. He showed him how to move in a wheelchair. He gave him a basketball. And one day, Tommy smiled. He whispered, "I want to be like you." Daniel hugged him. Tears filled his eyes. He replied, "You will be greater than me." Daniel's story was now in books, in newspapers, in videos, but he stayed the same. Humble, kind, grateful. He once said, "Do not feel sorry for me. Feel proud of me." And people did. One evening, he sat with his mother. She looked at him and said, "Do you remember that night in the hospital?" He nodded. She held his hand and said, "I thought I lost you, but I was wrong. That night, the world found you." Daniel cried. He whispered, "Thank you, Mom, for never giving up on me." Years later, Daniel passed away peacefully in his sleep. He was 65. The world mourned. Thousands came to his memorial. They did not cry because he was gone. They smiled because he had lived. At his center, a wall now shows his words. You do not need legs to stand tall. You need courage. Children look at those words every day. They smile. They dream. They believe. And Daniel, he lives on. In every heart he touched. In every tear he wiped. In every dream he lit with hope. He may have lost his legs, but he became a giant. Moral of the story: life will break you, but only to rebuild you stronger. Your pain can become your purpose if you choose to rise. Never stop believing in yourself. even when the world tells you to give up.